France 24's Doug Herbert is here to talk a bit more about this with me now. And Doug, tensions have really been building in this contested region for some time now.
They really have. It's a real flashpoint region. And look, it does go back to the Crimea annexation you were just talking about. What's extraordinary here is we have had, for the past several years now, Ukraine facing a war against basically two insurgencies in the east of the country, in eastern Ukraine. These were Moscow-backed insurgencies. In this case, it's not a Moscow-backed force. It's Ukrainian and Russian forces at sea coming into clash and confrontation with each other. There's no intermediary there. So it is right there, there's a sense of escalation in what's going on. Go back to Crimea. When Russia annexed Crimea, as you said, illegally in 2014, it's an annexation not recognized by most of the international community. It also claimed territorial waters around that peninsula. Territorial waters claims that Ukraine is never recognized. This is part of the source of that tension because all of it is about trying to assert authority, control, sovereignty, and territory. What you've basically had is over the past year or so, you've had, yes, on both sides detaining, stopping ships, trying to up the pressure. Ukraine stopped a Crimean registered vessel off the Black Sea in those waters back in March. What you've seen more recently, though, is Russia reasserting a lot of its authority, more detaining ships, stopping ships in that area that it claims as its own waters. I want to bring up a map now, and I want to just show our viewers something interesting to get them, really give them a sense of this region. The Black Sea and those territorial waters is where these latest incidents happen, but you'll see up there Kerch. Kerch Strait is a very narrow strait, and what it is it's basically the only strait separating right now Crimea from the Russian mainland. Ships have to go through a very narrow passage through Kerch there to get into the Sea of Azov, and this is where things get a little dicey, because what you have in the Sea of Azov is, under a 2003 treaty, it is joint territorial waters. Ukraine has the right to patrol there, as does Russia. They're supposed to share the waters. What's happened, in effect, though, right now is it's become a real flashpoint, a contested point, and mostly so, you have Mariupol and Berdyansk, two Ukrainian seaports, coal, steel ports, which are right now a real trading hub for Ukraine. They rely on it both as a trading hub for jobs, local jobs and industry, but also to ship out things like grain en route to Turkey. If ships can't get there, that's going to have an effect on Ukrainian economy and industry. Russia knows this. This is, it would seem, an attempt by Russia to ramp up the economic pressure on Ukraine by making it more difficult, or in some cases almost impossible, for its commercial shipping to be able to reach these ports. And it has reached an escalation point at which both sides are accusing the other of basically being the provocateur, of provoking these actions.
And to make things even worse, Russia actually built a bridge over that strait.
Yeah, absolutely. The Kerch Strait, right? Before this bridge was built back in April and then inaugurated by Vladimir Putin himself in May of this year. Before that, you had to have water. Ferries were the only real way to get to the Russian mainland if you were coming from Crimea. Crimea was essentially isolated. Then they built this $3.7 billion bridge connecting Crimea, the peninsula, to the Russian mainland, providing a land link via bridge. An enormous task, but what's also accompanied that at the same time is, as we saw at the bridge is about 33 meters high, not that high by international standards, but the Russians literally put one of their cargo ships right in front of that bridge that basically prevented the Ukrainian ships from being able to pass through that strait en route to their ports. What we have seen since the building of this bridge is more and more Russian inspections, interceptions, and inspections of ships. We've also seen Russia moving more of its naval vessels, more of its fleet from the Caspian more into this region. Like I said, it's not just Russia obviously stopping and intercepting these ships. Ukraine has also tried to assert its authority, but it's been a very, very dicey situation. And in this case, it's fair to say the FSB itself, the Russian security agency, has admitted that it detained these ships and it fired on the ships. In this case, Russia can deny it all it wants, but it would seem to be an action that was provoked with the intention of trying to raise Ukraine's anger, get Ukraine then to respond in kind. In that sense, Russia has been successful in that operation because we do have Ukraine saying that they want to impose the president martial law. So Russia's gotten that provocative response that perhaps it was looking for.
Thanks, Doug. And we're just hearing now that NATO has called an emergency meeting with Ukraine on that incident with Russia.